Welcome into another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go over your questions and comments and help you with your HUT lineup decision. This is from a couple of days ago. If you want your question answered in the next episode, just make sure you subscribe, notifications on to get your comment and question in. As well, you can always check me out live on Twitch. I go live at about 2 p.m. Eastern time every single day. I'll be happy to answer your question live on stream. Man, what an event we got, huh? Let's see. There probably won't be any questions about it, but that's okay. Maybe in the next one. All right, your mom222 says, this game is absolutely terrible. I'm never buying this game again. Everyone does the same thing and some really ridiculous goals go in. I can cycle the puck, keep the puck in the O zone, and the other guy goes down the ice, takes one shot, and somehow goes in. The goalies are horrible, and the AI will do nothing to help. Terrible, terrible game. I think to summarize, mad because no, I'm just kidding. I think that the thing I've noticed over the years of playing this game at a pretty decent level, the higher you get in game, the less and less it mimics real hockey. And I get that the majority of the player base does not play in Division 2 and Division 1. But as you can see, that the further away, the higher you get. And that's just normal human logic. You know, you play a game or you do anything, you're looking for the path of least resistance to get the results that you wanted. So I don't blame the player, to be honest with you. If you enjoy, and the only thing that gives you any sort of enjoyment is winning, not how you win, then obviously what you're going to do is look for the path of least resistance, which in this game is seemingly just beeline down the boards and huck something right through the middle. And, you know, I still take NHL 24 over 23. I think 23 is still the worst game that we've ever gotten, potentially ever. No, it's not worse than 15, and it's not worse than NHL 97, but those are the all-time ones. Quit FIFA after 10 years due to the horrible servers. Now servers are basically just as bad in NHL. But I do enjoy this game so much more. The non-chem system in this game is so much better. Personally, I do an untradeable team. That's the way I like to play, basically. Don't care that much about meta teams, just not fun for me. It's crazy to me because a lot of us are just, you know, we're the hardcore player base, and you get people that don't experience the game the same way because they aren't as hardcore and they like enjoy it more. It's so funny because I have the same view as MLB. I enjoy MLB more than NHL, but NHL and hockey is my like number one. Like I love hockey. Baseball is definitely number two in that aspect. However, I enjoy the game much more. But I talk to a lot of the high-end MLB creators, and they have a lot of criticisms about the game, something that I don't. It's funny, you just view it for a different lens because I haven't played the game a million hours. You know what's funny? After this last event, guys, I'll be honest with you. I have been doing this long enough, and I am blessed to do what I do. Don't get it twisted. It still blows me away that I get to wake up and play a video game and you know, get to hang out with all the people that I do in my community. But I have no faith that this game will improve to the point that we see a year where it's like, wow, what a great game. Like, looking back on it now, ever since NHL 22, a game in which the gameplay I didn't enjoy because I was coming off of NHL 21, which was my best performance-based game. I almost made GWC in NHL 21 before I started being the voice of it, which I guess in turn ended up being good that I was bad at the game. But 22, I struggled, but now looking back on it, it was so sim-based. It was so... there was no glitch goals in NHL 22, and that's a good thing for the 99% of the player base. But once you get into Division 1 and 2, the problem with a hockey video game is that hockey is so random. And when you're trying to beat an opponent that is as skilled or more skilled and things like that, relying on randomness that is in hockey is frustrating from a competitive standpoint. But for the rest of the player base, I totally understand why it's viewed as one of the better games in terms of gameplay. And in 23, the new dev team came on. One of the old-time devs, Ben Ross, he left, went to FIFA, and we saw gameplay kind of torn down and rebuilt into what the new devs think. And, you know, they've mentioned a number of times that it's like a 3-year cycle, and this is essentially year one. NHL 23 was they came in a little late, and it was legitimately a beta test, which is why we didn't get any patches or anything like that, because they weren't done fixing and implementing everything, which is why 23 is just such a joke. 24, you're seeing so many patches because it's their baby, right? They're trying to fix what, you know, and implement and get to a good point. The problem I've started to realize is that NHL will never get to a point where the player base universally loves the game. There is too much that goes on in game. And that's not to say they shouldn't try. But every year they chase these gameplay innovations where if they can just get to a point where gameplay is decent, where majority of the player base can agree that this is not bad, right? They can focus on other things. And I think that's a bigger issue. They keep trying to reinvent the wheel with crazy new goalie animations and total controls and, all of this stuff. And it's like, that's your entire dev cycle. That they have very limited time. It's a yearly base game. So now all of it's on the gameplay. And then outside of how we play the game and how we enjoy it is just forgotten about. Franchise mode. No, hasn't seen a major upgrade in years. Be a pro. It's been 5 years since that's an expensive game of pond hockey. HUT, we have done the same cycle of Hockey Ultimate Team for 5 game cycles. How that is even allowed and how the player base just accepts it is wild to me. I have been banging the drum of just break up the rivals, squad battles, champs, repeat. And hopefully we see something new in 25. I think that it'll probably be the year that HUT gets some sort of a makeover because I don't know how they can do it again. But yeah, it's just funny looking back. That was a rant. I'm sorry. I know you guys hate rants. I try not to play the meta, but a McDavid Team of the Week card is a McDavid Team of the Week card. 100%. I mean, McDavid being the best card in the game is good. Like, he is the best player in the world. His card, in my opinion, should be better than everyone else, and it is. Charles, one day ago, hey, Sleeveless. Oh, this is you copy and pasting. Who do you think is better, All-Star 92 Solani or Brazil Flashback? The Brazil Flashback card is a hell of an item. I'm going to assume that's Matthew Barzal. I would say Barzal. Wow, EA actually considering forking over the HUD API. Finally, rip NHL HUT Builder. Again, I talked about this in my last video. No, I don't even know if we'll get to the point where we'll ever get the HUD API. This was in talks with. I have a database website, HUD Hub. You can go and check it out. You can take a look at all the new cards every single day. I update. We have someone who updates it daily now, and you can compare cards and see what they look like. And there's a team builder, much like HUT Builder has done for years. And we've been trying to speak with EA over the last few years, or last year, to get the HUD API. The reason why the HUD API is so big is that it's not the HUD API, it's the market API. So if you play FIFA and Futbin, or you play Mutt and Mutthead, those games have public market APIs where they can pull the last price sold. And if the HUD API, the market API, can be allowed to be used, then myself, Tris, can program HUD Hub to show you on the app, and the League Gaming app, what a card was just sold for, what its average is. We could track averages in a graph to see what card is holding their value and what they're going for, and that would really elevate the market in NHL. But apparently, I doubt that we'll ever get to that point. I'll be honest with you. But I don't think HUT Builder is going to be around for forever, much like HUD Hub, as long as we we see a lot of people that use it. And over the year, thank you for everyone that's used HUD Hub and all the feedback. Gavin says, you mentioned FIFA having a massive workforce. I used to play FIFA as a huge soccer fan, and now I play strictly NHL. That's crazy because it's so much better than FIFA. The chemistry isn't even that worth it anymore. Meta players will so that's a theme now, is the chemistry thing in FIFA is not worth it anymore. It's interesting, man. God, I wish they could find a way to do theme teams. MLB, I'm going to talk about this a lot. I will have MLB videos coming out on my channel soon. NHL videos are not going anywhere, guys. So please don't be like, oh, he's only doing MLB, he's done. But you will see some of the changes that they've done. The thing about MLB and San Diego Studios is that they drastically change if they don't see something good in the years past. They do not care about staying in the same Ultimate Team mode. So this year, what's happening is 3-month seasons. This is very, very base level. 3-month seasons. Launch of the game, 3 months. It starts at around 90 overall diamond cards, so the highest overall cards around 90, and they will eventually release cards throughout that 3-month cycle that get to 99. And then 3 months later, so season 2, it goes back, it resets. You can't use all of your cards from season 1. Season 2 is like a fresh game. They release all new content, and it starts at around 90 overall diamonds, get to 99. Now there's things called wild cards in your lineup. You can unlock them by playing more, and you can bring up to 4 players from any of the seasons to have in your lineup. So it's not like all those cards are lost, but it makes it feel like the game is brand new every 3 months. The reason why I think that this is good, and people that play the game hardcore can be like, why do I want to grind again throughout the whole year? Guys, I don't think that Ultimate Team mode should make you feel like you have to grind every single week to keep up. So here's why I think MLB's new structure is going to be the future of Ultimate Team modes. Let's say you play at launch of the game like the mass amount of people will, okay? The summer hits. You want to go out and have a few pops with the boys. Maybe you've got a kid and a wife and you got to go and, cottage. You're taking the summer off from video games a little bit. September rolls around. Playoffs start to heat up in MLB. They release a brand new season, Season 3. The game starts fresh. You can come back, have missed Season 2, and be able to grind again and play on the same level as everyone else. Personally, I think that it's the best way to go. I don't know if it'll be implemented the best way because last season they tried 99s at launch, and they've definitely saw the downfall of that. But I'm curious to see how this plays because, my God, dude, NHL specifically, this year they've slowed progression down enough where you can kind of keep up. But if you start in February, you're playing every day, essentially, to build up a team by May to be able to compete against other players, depending on your skill level. Are you getting MLB The Show 24? Day one, brother. They should just take you into the studio for one day, write down your ideas, and actually put some work into the game. It wouldn't even be a lot of work to fix a few things and make a couple new cool things, like the captain cards and team player boosts. And I understand that it's all about money, but they could still make it in a way that would make them money. Here's the thing. I get access to the developers as a game changer, and not even as a game changer. I've made personal relationships with some of the developers. I'm friends with some of them. And that doesn't mean that I think that they're let off the hook. What I mean by that is that I get behind-the-scenes access as to why some things can't be implemented in their structure. And a lot of it is simply time constraints, that they would love to make the perfect video game. I think it'd be silly to think that developers don't want that. But they simply, in a year-long cycle, they can't. For anyone that doesn't know, the developers in a yearly game cycle have about 12 weeks to implement new things. 12 weeks. And then everything has to be in. Then it goes into alpha, then to beta, finishing touches, and gone. And with that being said, there's some ideas that I come up with. My Squad Battles one is kind of famous in the Who Should You Choose video series because I talked about it so much. That would be a massive undertaking. It's just something that I think it would be maybe find a way to implement it in bits and pieces so that by year 2, the full thing can go in. If I'm being honest, I think that the number one thing that has to be smoothed out, this is what makes me so annoyed with NHL, is that the problems that I experience in game and a lot of people experience in game, there's no fixing, and it leaves me with this ugh. And it's a video game. I could just stop playing. I have set myself up where I can't just stop playing. But, for example, when they went to server-based gameplay, the NHL video game cannot support it. The player base cannot support it. And what I mean by that is when you go to servers, which is what every single player back in NHL 17 and 18 begged for, dedicated servers. It was the GM connected of NHL 18. They finally did it without the realization, myself included, that how server-based video games work will not work in the infrastructure of NHL. So with a first-person shooter, which is dedicated servers, the lag and latency that you experience is much different than what you would experience in NHL. There is far more inputs in the hockey video game than in a first-person shooter. Obviously, the biggest one is you shoot a gun in-game, and that's going to be, the higher server R. There's going to be a slight delay in that. Think of all of the cuts, all of the passes, the poke checks, the player switching. NHL is played at such a fast level that any latency that you get based on server connection alone puts you at a significant disadvantage. If you live in somewhere where you experience on your home server a much higher ping than the majority of the player base, and the most famous one is Southern Ontario, where I currently live, and I've said this a number of times, I play on 25 ping. That's fine. That's actually not a bad ping at all for the NHL video game. My opponents, every single time I see a Montreal Canadian logo, not all of them, but about 85-90% of my players that I play in Quebec will be on 2 ping. 25 ping isn't bad, but when your opponent is playing at a 20 ping advantage, you are now at a disadvantage from every player switch, poke check, cut into the middle. And it's so frustrating because if you're not good enough, like myself, to beat players that are the same skill level as me when they have that, you're left with this like, God, like, what do I do? Move? And there's no real way to fix that. On top of that, the latency that you get from PlayStation 5 has been well documented, and you add that into crossplay. Crossplay is now null and void for PlayStation users. On Xbox, they should be using it because you get less latency when you're playing a PlayStation or than your PlayStation opponents, so you should be using it on Xbox. You're at an advantage. So when you add those two things in, the online experience is just much less. And it's like, man, the only way to fix that is to go back to peer-to-peer. And why they can't, and what for anyone that doesn't know what peer-to-peer is, you match your opponent regardless of where they are in the world, and you are at the middle ping. So if someone's connection is 80 and you're at 15, you're going to match on like 40. And yes, that would be a worse experience. I want you to go play Versus and match someone, and your ping will be 40, and it will feel like you're on 15 on servers. It's unbelievable. And what that would also fix is that fact that the NHL player base is so small in comparison to other sports games. You've now separated even further by the servers than which they're located. I can't match someone out west, so that part of the player base, even Central, I don't match anymore, is gone. That player base is no longer there. That's why you match the same 5 people, because you're just matching people on your server. Peer-to-peer would eliminate that. The whole player base opens up. You've now got infinite opponents, or as many opponents that you've got, that are matched based on your skill rating, not your server, and then your skill rating and all of that. And then that would fix a ton. The reason why they won't go back to peer-to-peer, in my opinion, is because they don't have a fix for the desync that came into the game where on peer-to-peer, someone could get your IP and boot you off. And because they don't want to invest in fixing that, it's a Band-Aid, they go to servers. And aren't synergies basically the same as chemistry? The chemistry system everyone's talking about. No, synergies give you a boost to attributes. But as the year goes along, everyone has pretty much the same synergies. So like speed boost on everyone, for example. Can Shea Theodore's fantasy card still be viable? He's got a defenseman, always interesting in fantasy because they could pot 5 goals in 2 games randomly. And then, yeah, he is. But no, I wouldn't bet on it. Hi, everyone. Best, easiest way, cheapest way. How do you get power-ups? Thoughts, tips, and ideas. Best way to get power-ups, if you are an online player, HUT Champs, because you can simply turn one HUT Champs collectible into a power-up collectible, or event objectives. If you complete all the event objectives, you should have enough power-up collectibles to upgrade all the cards that you want, or make the new ones, but that's how I would recommend it. Hi, slaves. I have Jack Hughes X Factor. I really love the Mikko Rantanen MSP. Who should I choose? Mikko Rantanen's card is one of the best in the game. Jack Hughes, however, though, will be a 99, and there will be a Team of the Season trade-in for him. So I'd probably keep him if you have him maxed already. One last thing I was thinking about is, do you think NHL 25 should have a mode like Battle Royale at MLB? Let's say you win 15 games in the OT or shootout, and the reward should pack of current team builders. Okay, so he's talking about BR mode, like Draft Champs. You're talking about Draft Champs. Yes. Dude, I don't care if the mode is called Willy Wonka's Wacky Shootout. Like, anything new to play in this game. It has been the same for 5 years. And anything new. But yes, the Draft Champs is the number one that everyone thinks. I honest to God, don't even think that it would dramatically improve the gameplay experience, because I think that BR mode in MLB, I don't play it a ton because it is for the hardcore players. Like getting to 10-0, or I guess in NHL it'd be like to win 8 games in a row with a drafted team is very difficult. NHL, I'd like it a lot more because I'm a lot better at NHL. But I think for the casual player base, I don't even know if like Division 3 or 4 players would really get a lot out of Draft Champs. The biggest thing is to test out players before you get them or build them, which would be huge. So, sorry guys for a little bit more of a rant episode. I'll try to mix these in and go full on about all of your questions in a rapid fire in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for subscribing. I'm almost at 60,000 subs on YouTube. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.